we can do the same exercise movement, but I'm picking up a 25-pound weight, another person can pick up a 65-pound weight.
The classes never work for me, and so that's always a deterrent to even sign up to do anything, but having these classes start every 10 minutes so I can pop in whenever I want. Hey everybody, welcome back. We are with Sweat 440 today, and listen, this is not just another gym. This is a revenue machine. In fact, one owner purchased two locations and came back and purchased another 28. So this is worth listening to. Meet Erin. Erin is with Sweat 440. Thank you for joining us, Erin. So tell us a little bit about yourself and give us a basic overview of this model.
Yes, of course. Well, thank you for having me. Excited to be here. Brief introduction on myself is this is actually my 10th year in fitness franchising. My first introduction was at Club Pilates corporate when there was 7 locations open, very small team, and I fell in love. I fell in love with the spirit of franchising, got to work alongside some of the greats that really built up the playbook that scaled that system. And I spent a course of 8.5 years there. That is my bread and butter. I love fitness. This industry keeps growing, and there's not a business model that I know better than a fitness franchise. So that is what led me into Sweat 440. Part of the Repum group, we're pretty particular. We have a lot of fitness experience on the team, and we know the things that we need to see in a brand. Validation, proven business model, and a product with a very strong differentiator. So rolling into Sweat 440, what really makes us stand out is solving the industry's biggest problem, the schedule. So we do have classes that start every 10 minutes. We do that in an open concept with a rotation of stations, so we're not a crazy build. And really, we're there to deliver an accessible, convenient, and effective 40-minute workout that can very much be customized to members at all ages. And we have a fantastic split between males and females as well, too.
I love that. So you just hit on something that I think is really important too, is that this can work for all ages. So can you kind of dive into that a little bit more?
Absolutely. So there's a lot of customization involved. For example, I always kind of giggle because I've taken classes next to, someone a bit more jacked than myself, as well as someone maybe 40 years older. And we can do the same exercise movement, but I'm picking up a 25-pound weight, another person can pick up a 65-pound weight. So it really does give you the freedom to select the weight that you feel most comfortable with. And it's based off of a countdown time clock. So I can go as fast or as slow as I'd like, and it feels like there's no judgment and no eyes on me. And more importantly, we do have coaches. So in our concept, our workouts are pre-programmed through corporate, distributed down to the studios, and delivered through station monitors above each station. They're static GIF movements, so people can see the exercise, see the equipment, but we do have 1 to 2 coaches walking the floor supporting the workout. So compared to our competitors, they got a mic, they're bouncing around, they're the TV personality, getting everyone excited and distributing the instruction. Very little one-on-one time can actually occur. Providing modifications to an injury is a bit hard in that type of setting. So our coaches get that one-on-one time to ensure if there is anyone that does feel uncomfortable with the movement, or if they have an injury, an alternative exercise is being provided to them so they can still flow through the class.
Love it.
So because there's not as many coaches on the floor at once, I would assume that your payroll is lower, right?
Are correct. Yeah, that's the big attractive thing. A lot of our franchisees did come really based on the business model. So a lot of financial backgrounds. Once they take a look at our business, they see the model, they see that our corporate studios were paying 14% and 16% for their payroll of their total gross revenue, as well as our coaches are paid between $20 to $25 an hour. And that's because that's for the work that they're doing. They're not creating the workout, they're supporting the workout, and we don't need them to excite a whole room and yell over a mic for 45 minutes.
And plus, like you said in the beginning, the busy schedule. So that was always something that was hard for me to, not that I'm, working out all the time, but the classes never work for me. And so that's always a deterrent to even sign up to do anything, but having these classes start every 10 minutes so I can pop in whenever I want.
Yeah, that was a big sale point for me as well. For the brand, I know that there's a lot of noise in fitness. Candidates, drive around their communities and they see fitness. So that's a big thing of being able to solve that problem. In Orange Theory, we're friendly competitors, but they did, because they're a public company in their earnings call, they were talking about how some of their operators were collecting $42,000 of gross revenue just based on late fees and no shows. And while that sounds wonderful for an operator, I tend to think about the consumer. The consumer is already paying a price for boutique fitness. They're most likely either not taking their class and now being hit with a fee, or they have the utmost stress to get to their workout class, so they're not charged the late fee. So I really do believe that based on the wait lists and some of the data out there, this is a fantastic thing for consumers, especially for young professionals, new families, and even to just older adults that want something convenient for them.
So, a couple of questions to that point. What is the typical hours of operation for a Sweat 440 location? And then can you talk to us about the pre-sale program? That's one of my favorite things.
Of course, yes. So first question, operational hours. Most of our gyms open at 6 a.m., some at 5 a.m. Just depends on what their members are asking for and what the operator feels most comfortable with, to about 12:30. And then our gyms open up around 3 p.m. and they operate till either 7 or 8 p.m.
Okay, so there's a gap kind of there in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Downtime allows for a break, a studio clean, and then welcoming in the evening crowd.
Yeah, I love it.
I like that.
Yeah.
And then the pre-sale program. This is, Matt, we love this. So you tell us about it.
Yes. It's crucial, right? And when I started in boutique fitness, let's see, almost 10 years ago, it was kind of funny. We were finding the definition of a pre-sale and the purpose of it and trying to understand all the levers involved. And fast forward now, pretty much every concept does a pre-sale. There's a couple things that really stand out with Sweat for 40s. So we do run a 12-week pre-sale playbook that is provided down to the operator, to the staff, as well as there's several responsibilities on the corporate side. The biggest or the largest responsibility is going to be the marketing support. Marketing is the engine to any business, and we have an in-house marketing team driving that forward for our franchisees. Cody, our founder, decided to bring an in-house marketing team in because he had just a little bit of frustration with, it felt like all marketing agencies were kind of the same, the reporting was lacking, as well as they cared about quantity, not quality. So, total lead count received versus the conversion. So we have dashboards and analytics that we can see how ads are performing across different studios and different areas. We also have an ad creation team ensuring that we can stop people in their scrolling tracks. And then we have marketing support ensuring that we're doing enough in the community. I think that's something that doesn't get honed in on. As an operator, their biggest focus during pre-sales, ensuring that their staff is out and about, is talking about Sweat for 40, making people start to feel comfortable with it and get excited overall. Last thing that I will hit on for that is we do have a pre-sale minimum of 250 members, and that is not held over a franchisee's head. That's really just lending the confidence that, hey, if we partner with the right franchisee from the beginning, if we're targeting the proper demographics in area through segmentation and psychographic analytics, as well as if we're running a strong marketing playbook, we have the utmost confidence that our franchisees can hit 250, and many of them have done so.
So what is capacity?
Capacity. So it's funny. Our studios can range from 2,500 to 3,500 square feet. So if I'm going to take sub 3,000, it gets tight around 500 members. People need to book themselves on in a class on the app, which is accessible. It's very easy. You can see how many spots are left, but there could be a wait where maybe they're waiting 20 minutes for the next round. For the studios that are larger than 3,000 capacity, you can start to feel around 650, 700 members where the same issue occurs.
That's a pretty good number of members, though. I would assume that an owner would be okay with having 500 members.
Yeah, that's why I say it's a good problem to have. But yes, I do recognize that you can get some squeaks at the front desk about, how hard it is to book. But with them pulling in every 10 minutes really allows us to be able to serve a lot of members. Our South Beach sees around 250 to 300 members a day.
Wow.
And then how many staffing, like do they need to have, total?
So, one studio manager, one assistant studio manager to really complement the hours, ensuring that there's support, or if there's any community events, we can have one person inside the studio, one out and about. And then, depending on the coach's hours, typically our franchisees are starting with 3 to 4 coaches, but some of them need 5 to 7, just depending on the coach's habits and behaviors of their normal life. A lot of our coaches come from other fitness concepts, full-time jobs, or in school.
Okay.
And so what type of facility are you looking for? I mean, does this need to be like Class A retail or where are you trying to locate?
So what we found, and there's a lot of articles getting pushed out total for the fitness industry, but if we think about it, if I sign a lease in a center that I know my consumer is already frequenting, then I'm getting in front of them. It's less weight on the marketing efforts, not only on digital, but through conversation and event building. So that's really the big push. I would say less on aesthetics. Of course, we want something that looks nice, but more focused in on the co-tenancy, ensuring that that's a center that has good visibility, traffic, and commonly, as you already identified, that's finding itself into Class A. I've seen some great B pluses now evolve, but definitely more. We don't need to be next to Lululemon, but we want to ensure that our consumer can easily access that center, and hopefully already is.
Okay.
What about the investment?
Yep, total investment.
So 289 to 680 is our range for the single. Commonly, we're finding around 450,000 to be a reliable target based off of our recent studio openings. 2 factors that created such a delta. So at first, not having the right real estate support and construction management, there was some boo-boos that luckily our franchisees are still in our system and they're operating and they survived that. But those were the learning lessons that Sweat for 40 originally came on, and they said, hey, we can't have franchisees signing a lot of unknowns in a lease, and also construction in areas we know franchisees can be grossly taken advantage of. As well as what we found is just the square footage. If we're going for a bigger square footage, it's going to be a larger project cost. We don't force square footage or larger spaces onto franchisees. In fact, the best ROI that we're seeing is around 2,800 square feet, 6 spots per station. And unless you're in a super dense area, that's really the playbook that we're suggesting.
Okay.
So like I said in the beginning, these returns are pretty great, and you have a very strong item 19. Can you talk about that at all?
Yes, absolutely. So we do have 17 studios that we were able to report on. First, I'll hit the member chart. So this is my favorite thing, especially for candidates that want to see data. They're like, all right, 250 members sounds good, and 500 members sounds like a lot, but without the data, they can't validate it. So we do have our studios listed, how many founding members they had when they opened. You can see the volatility until we really buttoned up that playbook, especially even in 2018, they opened a studio with 0 founding members. And then also we did a member poll on the last day of last year. So it's a great analysis for candidates to see what's the potential. They start then comparing demographics, and it really just gets their mind going on what's possible in their area. And you can also see the sustainability, right? When we're looking at a concept, we want to see that it can be sustainable. And while South Beach demographics are fantastic, it is surrounded by competition. Competition weeds out the weak. We have not been weeded out, so that's a good thing. Second to that, we do have the gross revenues listed as well, and the minimum and maximum. In the industry, there's an ebb and flow, so it gives a great perspective over what the year could look like. We do have, some, over 1.2, 1.4, several above the 600,000 gross revenue range, and then a few that are going through an operational transition to ensure that we're focusing on increasing those financials. But as a whole, if I take the average, it averaged out to $721,000 for the gross revenue across those 17 locations.
And I can't remember. Do you guys have your margins disclosed in there?
We do. We do have our EBITDA margin listed for the 2 corporate studios was 40 and 41%. Now our validation's very strong. These franchisees know their numbers like the back of the hand. They're very passionate about Sweat for 40. They hop on. And with our model, our rent's not going to increase when our revenue does. And neither will our payroll. So there's a few different ways that we're able to execute on that. But once they hit a certain threshold, they're seeing very similar profit margins as well, too.
Those are some pretty crazy.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's incredible.
Yes, it was designed. When I look at the system, commonly with Club Pilates background, I'm like, tweak this, tweak that. And I have yet to find that in Sweat for 40. So we feel extremely confident about scaling this brand. And to talk about our founders, Matt Miller and Cody Patrick, two incredible gentlemen where integrity is at the forefront of everything that they do. And that's crucially important, as we know, in this business, specifically with fitness, with some of the noise recently. But they have both 20 years of fitness experience. Matt still creates all the workouts, really his workout programming that he was distributing in his private training business to the masses, as well as Cody was working actually with the cruise lines to develop their wellness centers. So he got a lot of experience or exposure to operations and technology. And they united forces, and every franchisee feels like they're one call away. And and we hope to keep that, of course, as we scale.
Yeah.
Love that.
Anything that we've forgotten to touch on?
No, I think you hit all of the main points. Our differentiator, our financials, some information about our founders, our pre-sale playbook. Oh, I guess one last thing, if we don't mind. Now, the front desk. That position is a headache for franchisees typically, won't assume for everyone, but the part-time front desk sales associate. So working that lead management. One, lead management is so important that I know just in my experience, that was a pain point for a lot of studios, ensuring that cadence, calls were being followed by cadences, we were reaching out as soon as possible, as well as that the front desk continued to put on a bright, smiley face, welcoming and knowing each other's names, but they were being paid, the least in a studio. So very high turnover with that position. What Swapper 40 did to combat that was partner with a call center. So once we open our studio doors, all lead management is outsourced to the call center. So we have the automated text and email campaigns, of course, created by marketing and managed by marketing, sending out. But more importantly, we have the call center that is making that outreach to either sell a membership or get them booked into their first time free class. As 75% of our sales happen after someone does a first time free class. So our presentation of our membership is extremely strong, and we have our call center continually to feed people into our studios, reducing another person on payroll, especially with that high turnover position.
That's awesome. I love that. Yeah, I'm glad that's an important piece. I'm glad we didn't forget that one.
It's an iPad check-in too, right? So
It is.
okay, that's what I thought. So very tech savvy. Yep.
Yeah, there's also still the manager there as well too that will check people in, but we're all about who's in front of you is your focus. Be present with them. Either a member, make sure they're happy. If they're a new member, make sure they're confident. And that's our goal. So reducing some of that noise is good. And two more things that I'm thinking about is tech, as you mentioned. Tech is everywhere. It's integrated in everything that we do. We know that it's ever evolving and there's a lot of opportunity with it. So working with an outsourced tech team was bringing some challenges just based off of Sweat for 40's goals compared to like the bandwidth of the tech team. So Cody actually brought in also a tech development team. So every great idea he has is a priority and it's executed and distributed back out to the system.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Love
having
it.
control
Love it.
over that is crucial. And then one last thing that I failed to mention was that 85% of our system revenue is with reoccurring memberships. And as we know, that's a franchisee's preferred revenue.
That's very sticky.
Gonna tell you that I mean everybody wants reoccurring revenue, right? But in our conversations, probably over the last couple of years, it's becoming way more of a focus for all of our candidates. So that's huge.
I'm taking it out.
So the other 15%, where would you say it's coming from?
Great question. Class packs. So for members who maybe don't want to put their card on file, they're trialing it, or they travel a lot. And then class pass. So class pass does advertise our lower utilized times to the members, and they do a lot of marketing. So it's great visibility. And we treat every class pass opportunity as a conversion opportunity.
Sure.
The one big thing that I like is for class pass, unfortunately for them, if you book into a Sweat for 40, you will be charged a no-show and a late fee per class pass standards and requirements. So really, someone has to fully be able to be just a Sweat for 40 member, convert out of the class pass to be able to get all the benefits that we offer.
Got it.
Gotcha. Okay. I did not know that. Well,
Awesome.
I'm excited about this. I think we
Yes.
should buy one.
I knew that was coming. She's going
I
to be
personally
calling you
believe
in a
so.
minute. Yeah, she'll be calling you in a minute to find out if our market's available.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Please
Well,
do.
thank you, Erin. We're excited about this. We're excited to send people over to you. We love this option. And thank you for joining us today.
Yes.
Of
Thank
course.
you.
Thank you again for the opportunity. You both are so fantastic to work with, and I'm excited to see where this goes.
Yeah, and I almost forgot, but if you're still with us here, make sure to send me a text at 270-215-2844. We'll check to make sure your market's still available and then talk through some next steps.
Perfect.
Okay. Thanks, Aaron.